Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Craigo and I am a fully qualified chartered accountant working at one of the world's largest food and beverage companies. Just 18 months ago I passed my strategic case study exam, and for those of you who are studying for CIMA, I thought it would be useful to go through my top tips that I believe were crucial to me passing my operational case study, management and strategic case study first time. So without further ado, we're just going to roll my intro and get stuck in with today's video. So let's go. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Craigo and I am the founder here at Investing with Style. Here I discuss all things accounting and investing, and as a CGMA myself, I am here to deliver and provide value and help people in the same position that I was just over 18 months ago. Today we are going to be looking at 6 key areas of the case study exams which I believe are pivotal to you successfully navigating your way through these exams. So if there are any videos that you would like me to put together, then please do let me know in the comment section below and I will be more than happy to do that for you. While we are at this point, if you are looking to study towards your CIMA qualification or are already studying and you would like to have an additional research and resource available to you while you study, then please do make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Now we have got that out of the way, let's start going through the first of my 6 priorities that I believe you need to be top of your game on to pass the case study exams. And number 1 is to know the theory well. I don't know how you feel when you go into an exam, but I certainly feel a lot more confident if I am aware of the entire syllabus and confident that I know the theory that will underpin that exam. This one isn't rocket science, and if you know the theory well, then you will have a far greater chance of passing the exam. I strongly advise against the approach of praying that a topic doesn't come up. And with the amount of theory that is in the exam, I certainly feel like it is achievable to learn all of the theory and learn it all well. Before you do sit your case study exams, prepare yourself well and make sure you know every single part of the theory, because then there is no chance at all of something unknown coming up. And on this, I strongly recommend you get some access to any Kaplan or BPP materials. They will summarise the full CIMA syllabus into a manageable sized textbook, which is far easier to learn, and will highlight the key examinable areas based on previous years and topics that have come up within previous years. So then that takes me on to point number 2, which is to have an exam strategy. When you go into your case study exam, you will have an operational case study 4 questions, and at management and strategic case study you will have 3 questions. Depending on which exams you are sitting, then this will be either 45 minutes or an hour per exam question. The problem with the CIMA case study exams is they will not give you an exam mark allocation, so you will need to identify this yourself. You should then be converting that mark allocation that you have given into minutes based on the time that you have to complete that question. So for example, in the operational case study, you have 4 questions. If the first question in that exam has 2 sections to that question and you evaluate those both parts as being an equal amount of marks, then you will need to apply and give yourself 30 minutes for each part of that exam question. And it is important to note that if you have allocated yourself an even amount of time and you get to 30 minutes within that exam question and you have only answered 2/3 of the points that you wanted to answer, then you need to have the strength to cut ties with that part and move on to the next part, because the first marks of the second part of the question will be far easier to obtain than obtaining the last few marks of the first question. On top of your exam strategy, you must also learn to plan your answer. Planning is pivotal when it comes to answering an exam question, as a 25 mark question can appear extremely daunting and challenging. However, if you are asked to label the the advantages and disadvantages of a chosen strategy, then simply breaking the question down into 3 or 4 advantages and disadvantages and then building your answers around those points will make it far easier and far less of a headache for you getting your ideas and the volume of your ideas down on paper. You must also learn to understand your role within the business when you answer the case study. Within the operational case study, you will be expected to answer it from an accountancy role. From this management level, you will be asked to answer your questions from a finance manager. And from the strategic level, you will be asked to answer the questions as a financial director. You must be aware of your role at all times and tailor your answers to fit in with the role that you fit within that company. And last but not least, you should be working quickly and effectively and sticking to your time management. As part of the case study exam, you will be required to score a minimum amount of marks across each competency that is being marked within the exam. This therefore makes time management pivotal. If you spend too much time marking or writing your answer for one area of the syllabus and then run out of time for another area, then you are going to lose the opportunity to earn marks across the competencies in the second question. You may therefore not achieve the amount of marks across the required competencies and will therefore fail the exam. The exam requires a strong element of time management, and you need to have a plan going into that exam, and you need to have the confidence and the ability to stick to your plan. Moving on to number 3 is the application of your exam answers. Let's say you are doing a case study on a car company called Car-Sadies, and they ask you how you are going to achieve your profitability goal. A very, very basic answer, and I'll highlight a very basic answer, but I'm trying to illustrate the difference between the two answers, would be that Car-Sadies can improve the volume of sales in order to increase their profitability. That answer is very basic and in actual fact very general and not applied in any circumstances to Car-Sadies. So let's say we came up with this answer. Car-Sadies must increase their marketing spend by at least 50% versus 2019 in England to improve profitability and meet annual targets of £100 million. We have stated that they must improve the marketing spend by 50% in order to drive additional sales, which will in turn improve the profitability of Car England within their native market, which is England, which will then allow them to meet their annual profit target of $100 million. And when you make a point in your case study exam, or a series of points in the case study exam, you must make sure that each and every point that you make is applied back to the original question and asks exactly what the question was asking you for. And that takes me on to point number 4, which is the volume of ideas. And I go straight to the CIMA's website with this one because I've done a bit of research. And what CIMA's website basically says is the length of answer is not necessarily an indicator of quality. In general, very short answers lack content and make few relevant points to score well. You will need to have a high enough volume of points to be able to get the marks. When you are answering a question, it is far easier to get the first and second mark of each point you make than to obtain the third or fourth mark. Although it is deemed that quality is required over quantity, I remember when I was studying for my case study exams, the lecturer actually pointed our way towards an Astranti survey, which I'm unable to find. And basically what this survey showed was that the more words you have written down on paper, the more likely you were to pass the exam. And this is because the more words you write down on paper, the more likely you are to have written some words down which will earn you some marks. And if I relate this back to my very first point, if you have a sound understanding of the whole syllabus, then you are more likely to be able to score and write down a higher number of points to answer your case study answer. So then point number 5 is practice makes perfect. Practice as many mock exams and questions as you can. Get as much feedback from your tutors as you possibly can. Find and research your example answers by CIMA as best as you can so you can learn to understand what is expected from you when you write your essay answer. Like anything, the more practice you have, the more likely you are to pass your exam. And then my sixth and final point is to constantly review your answers in your exam. When you have made a point and you have written a paragraph, review that paragraph and ask yourself 2 questions. Have I applied my answer to the company and the case study? And have I answered the question that the examiner is asking me? In the extreme, if someone asks you, how do you prove the profitability of company A? And you answer the question on how to cut costs in company B, then I'm afraid you aren't answering the question. 2 of the most common areas for students failing their exam is through a failure of application and not answering the question that has actually been asked of them. So that is all from my top tips for passing the case study exams as part of the CIMA qualification. If you did find that useful, then please do be sure to let me know down in the comments section below. As I've said before, I will be producing CIMA content weekly and it will be launched every Tuesday at 5 PM. So if you do want to see more, if you are a CIMA student, then please do make sure you subscribe to my channel. But that is all from me today. I wish you all the luck in your case study exams. I'd love to hear if my advice has helped you to pass your exam. Until then, that is all from me today, and I'll see you again in the next one very, very soon. So goodbye.